Welcome to the National Archives and happy July 4th. I'm Patrick Madden, the Executive Director of the National Archives Foundation. We're the independent 501c3 partner to the National Archives. It's an honor to be here today, as it is an honor to work every day supporting the National Archives and its mission. How about another thank you to the Crossroads Brass Band of Quantico Marine Band. How many of you are here for the first time attending this event? Awesome, welcome. How many of you have attended this event in previous years? Welcome back. It's a great tradition. The National Archives is the keeper of our national memories. Now that we're all friends, how many of you have phones out there? You're in a historic celebration, the 249th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And we want you to take photos, and we want you to share your experiences and your memories online. So tag the National Archives on Instagram and X, USNat Archives, and use today's hashtag, ArchivesJuly4. The National Archives will be retweeting and reposting your best selfies throughout the day. We're excited to have you here, and this year is a very special 4th of July. In 2025, we are celebrating the 250th anniversary of the United States Armed Forces. The Army, Navy, and Marines were all formed by the Continental Congress in 1775, and the National Archives holds those documents. To help us celebrate this anniversary, we're pleased to have guests from Blue Star Families, Wounded Warriors Project, and the American Veterans Association. We have a number of special guests here today, but none as special as our service members. If you served in the military or currently serve our nation, please stand or wave your hand to be recognized. Thank you for your service to the American people. We have so much going on here today at the National Archives Museum. Come inside after the program and see the one and only original Declaration of Independence. You can also see several one-of-a-kind documents on display about the founding just on view for this weekend. We have great family activities throughout the building. You can sign your name to a copy of the Declaration of Independence, snap a photo at our selfie station, or explore the museum's interactive scavenger hunt. Today wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. We want to thank Comcast Corporation, Microsoft, P&G, Ancestry, Boeing, John Hancock, Dykema, and the National Archives Foundation. Yes. Just as our military has a long, proud history with many chapters, the National Archives holdings reflect our one nation of many stories. Today, we celebrate our founding together. We have Fife and Drum Corps, a reading of the Declaration, and musical performances, and a special surprise at the end that you won't want to miss. Now, please stand if you're able, remove your hats, and turn towards the flag on either side of the building for the singing of the National Anthem by Master Sergeant Caleb Green, U.S. Army, retired.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Caleb. We'll be hearing from you later at the end of the ceremony as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, Fife and Drum Corps. Their uniforms are from the Revolutionary War era, and so is their music. I'm pleased to present Command Sergeant Major Lutricia Fields to narrate the performance. Please join me in welcoming the Old Guard, Fife and Drum Corps from Joint Base Myers-Henderson Hall in Arlington, Virginia.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The United States Army Military District of Washington, under the command of Major General Trevor J. Bradenkamp, is proud to present the United States Army Old Guard, Fife and Drum Corps. Since 1960, the Old Guard, Fife and Drum Corps has carried on the Army's tradition of excellence, acting as the official escort to the President of the United States. The Corps wears uniforms patterned after those of General Washington's Continental Army. In order to be easily identified, military musicians wore the reverse colors of their assigned regiment. At that time, American infantry soldiers wore blue coats with red facings. Thus, the musicians wore red coats with blue facings. During the Revolutionary War, sounds of the fife, bugle, and drum could be heard across the battlefield as brave soldiers fought for our nation's independence. musicians harnessed the unifying power of music to rally the troops, express cultural identity, and entertain. On the night of Paul Revere's historic ride, bugler Abel Benson also rode, sounding the alarm. Zio Lou served as a fifer and drummer in 2 American wars and was praised for his bravery at the Battle of Bunker Hill. A female bugler from Michigan disguised herself as a man to fight in the American Civil War under the alias Frank Martin. Alexander Johnson, a drummer and Civil War veteran, brought music back to his community by establishing a drum and bugle corps. Soldier musicians have been influential in shaping our nation's history. We're honored to highlight their individual contributions and recognize their selfless service. on the home front and penned in soldiers' diaries, folk melodies have connected and inspired us throughout our nation's history. The Corps honors the legacies of our country's soldier musicians and all who have served with our stately and traditional troop step, set here to dawning of the day. A shared pride in our nation and the desire to find comfort in a new home ultimately brought Americans together to fight as one. On behalf of the Old Guard Commander, Colonel Thomas J. Kilbride, and the Fife and Drum Corps Commander, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Benjamin W. Macmillan, it has been our pleasure performing for you today.
One more hand for the Fife and Drum Corps. The National Archives is the permanent home of the Declaration of Independence. Despite Nicolas Cage's attempts to check out the back, it's here under the watchful eyes of the archive staff. That extraordinary piece of parchment is just one of billions of documents held in trust at the National Archives. They hold so much more of our collective story: papers, photographs, videos, films. Holdings of the National Archives tell the story of democracy in the United States, tragedy, heartache, as well as triumph and resilience. The mission of the National Archives is to make those documents available to you, the American people. The stories of the American people are reflected in some way in the archives. If your family had any interactions with the U.S. government, it is likely there is a record here at the historic home of the Archives, or one of the presidential libraries, or the many archives facilities around the country. The National Archives holds millions of military records. If you had a relative who arrived at Ellis Island or Angel Island, those arrival documents are here. Letters to the presidents, land records, census records. It's all preserved by the National Archives and Records Administration. The incredible staff is ready to help you research your own history at the Archives. And the Foundation is honored to support that mission and invites you to become a member or a donor and join us to advance that work at the National Archives. And now for today's keynote. Retired Navy Commander Everett Alvarez Jr. was the first American aviator shot down and captured over Vietnam in 1964. He was the longest held prisoner of war in North Vietnam for 8.5 years. He holds numerous military decorations, including the Silver Star, 2 Legions of Merit, the Distinguished Flying Cross, 2 Bronze Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts. In addition to his distinguished military service, Mr. Alvarez is a lawyer, author, entrepreneur, and executive. He served as the Deputy Director of the Peace Corps, Deputy Administrator of the VA, and Chairman of CARES Commission. He has authored 2 books about his experience in Vietnam and is a member of the Vietnam War Commemoration. Commander Alvarez, we are honored you chose us today to spend your time. Thank you for your service. Please welcome Commander Everett Alvarez.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning and happy Independence Day. What an incredible honor it is to be here with you, standing in front of this very building, the National Archives, home to the very documents that gave birth to our nation. And what an honor it is to join you in celebrating the freedom that they represent. Too often, we tend to take these freedoms for granted. Too often, we don't even think about them. They're part of our daily lives, but we're not aware of them until the day comes when we have lost them. So I stand here not just as a veteran, but as someone who has seen the true cost and the true power of liberty. It was 61 years ago. I was a young naval aviator flying over North Vietnam. When I was shot down, I was captured, and as you heard, I spent the next 8.5 years as a prisoner of war in that infamous Hanoi, Hilton, and surrounding camps. I and my fellow POWs endured pain, torture, isolation, and real hardship. I witnessed extraordinary courage from my fellow POWs, from our families, and from the American people who never forgot us. We survived because we never lost faith in our country in God and in our fellow servicemen and women, and in the ideals that we swore to defend, those ideals written in those same documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, and its Bill of Rights that are housed in this building right behind me. It was the commitment to those ideals that enabled us to eventually come home with our honor. As I look out at you today, it is humbling to be here with you, among fellow Americans, veterans, families, public servants, and those who continue to serve this great country in so many ways. Today, we are not just spectators of a parade. We are participants in the American story. This year, we are celebrating, or will celebrate, other parts of that story. As Director Madden pointed out, this past month we celebrated the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. In October, we will mark the 250th anniversary of the United States Navy. And in November, the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. From our country's first encounter with the British and throughout our history, to the recent engagements of our military men and women who participated on the strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, all of these episodes are or will be documented for history right here in the National Archives, to be studied, to understand the battles and their impacts, but also the men and women and their stories, their contributions to the American story. The 4th of July is more than just fireworks and cookouts. It's a day to remember whom we are and whom we strive to be. It's a day to celebrate our founding principles. These principles have been tested, they have been strained, but they have never been abandoned. And they never have stopped inspiring hope. As I look around this great city and all the flags waving proudly, I am filled with gratitude. I'm grateful for my life, for my family, for my fellow POWs, and for the generations of Americans who have fought and sacrificed so that we could all live free. So, thank you all. Enjoy the festivities of today. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Alvarez. And now I'm happy to introduce a very distinguished group of people who will read the Declaration of Independence. Our first three readers, General George Washington, General Marquis de Lafayette, and Mrs. Abigail Adams. Next, to read the grievances against King George III, we have three of our leaders of the Second Continental Congress, Mr. Thomas Jefferson, Mr. John Adams, and Dr. Benjamin Franklin. These three gentlemen know the words of the Declaration better than anyone. They served in the committee to draft the Declaration, and as we all know, Mr. Jefferson was the primary author. To read the names of the 56 signers of the Declaration, we're proud to have Private Edward Ned Hector of the 3rd Pennsylvania Artillery Company, colonial soldier, patriot, and hero. And finally, we need more audience participation, just as our colonial forefathers would have had. As our special guests read the grievances against King George, watch for our volunteers and James Forten, a privateer during the Revolution, holding signs to tell us when we will express our displeasure with a hearty boo to the King. And now, the Declaration of Independence.
In Congress, July 4, 1776, a declaration by the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires them that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. but one a long train of abuses and usurpations, having invariably as its object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and as such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good.
He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be attained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them.
He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only.
He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures.
He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness invasions on the rights of the people.
He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within.
He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands.
He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers.
He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries.
He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance.
He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures.
He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
he has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, given his assent to their acts of pretended legislation for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from any punishment for murders, any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our legislatures and declaring themselves invested with the power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever.
He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us.
He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation.
He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands.
He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages whose rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injuries. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people.
Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and our correspondence.
They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free. And independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved.
And that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do.
And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other
Our lives,
our fortunes,
and
our sacred honor.
Thank you, General Washington, General Lafayette, Mrs. Adams, Mr. Jefferson, Mr. Adams, and Dr. Franklin. How stirring to hear those words just as they were written 249 years ago. Now, Private Hector will read the names of the states and the signers of the Declaration. After Private Hector reads the names of the signers, we will show our approval with huzzah. You did pretty well on the booing, but we need to practice the huzzahing. So let's practice a hearty huzzah on the count of 3. And after each state, he'll read all the names, we will huzzah. 1, 2, 3.
Huzzah!
That was a proper huzzah. Private Hector.
Well done, sir. I laid out my weapon for the people. And I will tell you, I will pick the weapon up if needed. Which one of you would put your signature to your own death warrant? These people did that. I will be reading the names of the signers. Please follow me. First of all, the Honorable President of the Continental Congress, John Hancock. Huzzah! New Hampshire, Joseph Bartlett, William Whipple, and Matthew Thornton. Huzzah! Massachusetts Bay, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Robert Treat Payne, and Elbridge Gary. Huzzah! Rhode Island! are. Good. Stephen Hopkins. William Ellery. Huzzah! Connecticut. Roger Sherman. Samuel Huntington. William Williams. And Oliver Walcott. Huzzah! Georgia! Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton, Huzzah! Maryland, Samuel Chase, William Paker, Thomas Stone, Charles Carroll of Carrollton, Huzzah! Virginia! George Wythe, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson. I see you know this man. Good. Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, and Carter Braxton. Huzzah! New York. Yes. William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, and Lewis Morris. Huzzah! Pennsylvania!
Oh, yeah!
Yes! Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin, John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, and George Ross. Huzzah! Delaware. Come on, give me something for Delaware. Okay. Caesar Rodney, George Reed, and Thomas McCain. Huzzah! North Carolina. William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, and John Penn. Huzzah! South Carolina. Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., and Arthur Middleton. Huzzah! New Jersey. Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, and Abraham Clark. Huzzah! This is attested to by the Secretary, Charles Thompson. Huzzah! And I say the people respond to this document by saying, huzzah! Once again, huzzah! Forever! Huzzah!
Thank you, Private Hector. Now to conclude our program, remain seated as we welcome back Master Sergeant Caleb Green, who will sing America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Again, come on. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, from sea to shining sea. Happy birthday, America.
All right. As we wrap up with a few reminders, have a great 4th of July. We have a lot of hands-on family activities in the museum until 3 o'clock. The building closes at 7 p.m. If you need water, Gatorade, patriotic clothes, stop by the National Archives store tent right down there. All sales support the National Archives outreach educational work that we do. We want to thank everyone who helped make this year's July 4th possible. None of it without the support of the leadership of the National Archives, the hard work of the staff, and the volunteers. Thank you to today's sponsors, Comcast, Microsoft, P&G, Ancestry, Boeing, John Hancock, Dykema, and the National Archives Foundation. A special thank you to Commander Everett Alvarez, Master Sergeant Caleb Green, the American Historical Theater Reenactors, the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, the Crossroads Brass Band. Hang around for the National Independence Day Parade. It's up next, starts right here in about a half hour. This year was a blast. Next year is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration. If you want to see a party, join us next year. For the next 365 days, the National Archives will be hosting programs, exhibitions, events in DC and around the country. Visit the Archives and Archives Foundation websites and social medias so you don't miss anything patriotic we have planned. And most notably this October, the National Archives will reopen part of the museum. It's been closed for 2 years, called The American Story. It will feature treasures from the archives and AI technology, allowing you to personalize your visit. Opening this fall, please check it out. America's story is unfolding, but remember, the National Archives is the place where you can come find our story. Thank you for joining us and have a fantastic July 4th.